Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me? Please answer the chat box. Can you hear me? Students, can you hear me? Students, can you hear me? Please answer in chat box. Hello, can you hear me? Oh, you can hear me, no? Then shall I start now? So we are dealing with postmortem changes. So before starting, what is the definition of death? So death is a permanent, irreversible stoppage of three interlinked system of the dead bodies. Three interlinked system of the bodies, that is mainly respiration, cardiovascular system, and central nervous system. So whenever there is permanent and irreversible stoppage of three interlinked system of the body, then it is called as death. Coming to the next part, as per law, the 46 IPC describes about death. It does not define the death. So the death, as per 46 IPC, death denote the death of human being unless the contrary arises from the context. So the next, this is the graph. What are you showing? We are mainly dealing with in upcoming our 3 lectures. That mainly we will see, learn what are changes after death. These are further divided into immediate changes, early changes, and late changes. In immediate changes, we have changes in the eyes, changes in the skin. Then we have these 3 things important for us. First is cooling of the dead body. Second, formation of the post-mortem lividity. Third is the rigor mortis, what you are showing on the seeing on the screen. And third is the decomposition changes. So this is the graph of cooling of the dead body. This is how post-mortem lividity appear and continue, and at last it merges with the changes of the decomposition. The rigor mortis, this is how it appears, and then it is passes off. So what are the signs of death? Immediate signs, these are also called as somatic death. Early signs denote the cellular death, or also called as molecular death. The late signs also called as decomposition or delay. So what are the immediate signs of death? In immediate signs of death, there is complete and irreversible stoppage of respiration, circulation, and central nervous system. So these are immediate signs of death. So immediately signs of death, the body is insensible, does not respond to any external stimuli. So it is complete and permanent cessation of respiration, circulation, and loss of ECG rhythm. Insensibility and loss of EEG rhythm. So what are the changes in early changes? In early changes, we have changes in the eyes, changes in the skin. Then we have cooling of the body, which is also called as rigor mortis. Then we have a post-mortem lividity, which is also called as livor mortis, and changes in the muscles, which are called as rigor mortis. And in late changes, we have putrefaction, adiposity formation, and mummification. So before going there, we have another term called as suspended animation. So it is also called as apparent death. So it is of two types. It is voluntary and another is involuntary. So this voluntary is seen in mainly yogis, those who are practices yoga and that. So what is the suspended animation? So it is a vegetative state in which the functions of the body are at a such low pitch level that they cannot be determined by ordinary methods of clinical examination. The person is alive, but his all body functions, circulation, respiration, and central nervous system functions, they are at such low level that they cannot be routinely appreciated by routine physical clinical examination. So this is most important before declaring death of the person to rule out the suspended animation, because this may result in premature declaration of the death. So such state may last in few seconds. I already told you it is of two types. Voluntary, which is practiced by yogas. Involuntary, it is seen in some conditions like most commonly it is seen in cases of hypothermia. The fetus who are born and who are in hypothermic condition. Then in certain conditions like drowning, hanging, then coma, electrocution, sunstroke cases. So these are few examples. But most commonly it is seen in newborn infant, and most commonest cause is hypothermia. So before declaring any death, this suspended animation has to be ruled out. You must have read in the news, in newspaper, we are stating that the person is declared dead while taking him or her to for cremation. The person suddenly get up. So these are certain examples of suspended animation. So in order to rule out this suspended animation in certain parts of country, the practice is that the after declaration of death, the body is kept in the ward at least for minimum 2 hours. So during these 2 hours, these early changes of death already appear in the body. Then you are sure about the cause of death, that the person is died. So then you are sure about your signs of death. So in such situation, once the changes of early signs of death appear in the body, then the usually death is declared, and then dead body is shifted or handed over, shifted to the morgue or handed over to the relatively dead. So this is the best thing in my opinion to avoid this suspended animation. It's better to keep the body for at least 2 hours, so that early signs of death and immediate signs of death, these all will be present in the body, and this will avoid unnecessary stress. The doctor who is declaring such suspended animation cases as a wrongly as a death. Then coming to move further, so how the suspended animation is treated? Do cardiac massage, give electrical stimulation with artificial respiration, continues the examination of the heart and lungs with stethoscope lasting for 5 minutes, and repeat the same examination after interval of 5 to 10 minutes. Once do these things twice or thrice, then once you are sure about the person has no scope of revival, then you declare the dead person the dead. So before certifying the death, we have to examine this circulation, respiration, and nervous system. For circulation, we check for peripheral pulses, check for radial pulses, your carotid pulses, then check for BP of the deceased, ECG, then respiration, we check for breath sounds, view for respiratory movements of the chest. Then for nervous system, check the reflexes, plantar reflex, gag reflex is not possible in the dead body, but other corneal reflexes and all. When these all three systems or reflexes are absent, then you should proceed for declaration of death. And please remember, declaration of death is a job of doctor. Only registered medical practitioner is authorized to declare the death. Many times when you do, you will do your house job, you may have experienced that you receive a call stating from nurse, stating that the such and such person is in a gasping state and he needs a resuscitation. And when you actually go and attend the call, then you realize that the person is already dead. The reason behind it is that this is the job of doctor to declare the death. So nurses, ward boy, all these are not responsible for declaration of the death of the deceased. It is the doctor who declares the death of the person. So that's why we receive such calls. So in such situation, proceed. Then if the person is dead, then put down the death notes properly. Mention the date, time. Write down you have given injection adrenaline. You have done CPR. You have done CPR for 5 to 10 minutes. Repeatedly again, you have given all life-saving your injections, adrenaline, atropine, whatever practiced. Then, in spite of your all efforts, the person would not be revived and he was declared dead on. Write down the particular date and write down the time. So this is called as your death notes. So what are the additional tests? See, most commonly in our ward practice, the stethoscope is usually placed on the precardial area and it is auscultated for 5 to 10 minutes. Second thing, feel for external pulses. So these are most commonly practiced things in the ward. So apart from these, we have certain test for circulation, which is called as Magnus test. The ligature is tied at the base of the finger. This is in order to stop the venous flow. In case of dead person, the fingers remain white. Why? If the person is dead, it is bluish, swollen, and beyond the ligature. So this establishes that the person's circulation is still intact. Then diaphanous test, which is also called as fingers appears finger test. These fingers of the person in your childhood, you have must played like these things. Put your fingers to the sunlight, so the fingers will look like reddish in color. So the translucent finger held strong light, they will appear yellow after death. So this reddishness indicates that the blood circulation is intact and the person is alive. And apart from this diaphanous test, ICAT test is there. Hypodermic injection of fluorescein is given. No change if the person is dead. Neighboring skin becomes yellow, green when seen in daylight if the person is living. Then application and withdrawal of pressure. The fingernails assumes the alternate white and pink color. You can also do yourself. See your fingernails, press it, it becomes whitish in color near the site of compression. Relieve it, they again regain their red color. This will be absent if the person is dead. Then application of this is not advisable. This is more theoretical. Blister formation with red line if the person is alive. And cutting of small artery, again this is not advisable. These simple what test I told you before, these are sufficient in routine practice to establish the death of the person. Then what are the tests for respiration? Mirror test. See, usually the mirror is kept near the nose of the person. Usually we exhale warm air. So the moisture if appear on the mirror, it indicates that the person is alive. If it doesn't appear, then it indicates that the person is dead. Similar way of feather test. A feather is placed over the mouth of the person, mouth or preferably on the nose of the person. If the person is taking respiration, then the feather will move accordingly. Then when to certify the death? See, it is the duty of the doctor, I already told you, it is the duty of the doctor to declare the death of the person. The doctor has to certify that the person is declared dead. So it is the doctor who attended the patient in last stages of life can certify the death. If you have not treated the patient at all, if the body is brought dead in your casualty or in your hospital, in such cases, don't issue a cause of death certificate. You can declare death before admission. You can note down the pulse not recordable, BP not recordable. Before that, you note down the date and time. Write down today's date at 10:15 a.m. I have examined the so and so person. Uh, Pulse not recordable, BP not recordable. Then person was again examined after 5 to 10 days. Then write down CPR was given. Then the patient was again examined after 5 to 10 minutes. Then second time try to give life-saving drugs, adrenaline, intra-heart, whatever the routine practice at present. Then in spite of your efforts, if the patient died, then you write down the death notes. But when the patient is brought dead to your casualty, then write down the patient is already in a state of rigor mortis, post-mortem lividity form. Before that, write down BP not recordable, pulse not recordable, and the patient is declared brought dead, and body is handed over to the nearest concerned police station. So where the incident has happened, the body will be handed over to the concerned police station. Usually in the casualty, we have a police cabin. So we usually pass off information to the concerned police constable. Then police constable usually asks to the relatives where they stay. Then he try to assess the jurisdiction of the police station. So the depending upon which jurisdiction that police officer or that police constable is duty bound to inform to the concerned police station. Then concerned police station's IO will come. He will take charge of the body. In your death notes, write down handed dead over dead body, handed over dead body to the PC, SI. Write down his PM number, net police station, and do your signature. Or if possible, take the receipt of the from the IO also that he has received dead body. Now don't talk anything to the relatives that since you don't know the cause of death, the post-mortem will be conducted. Then the relatives will unnecessarily harass you. They will ask you to certify the cause of death so that post-mortem will be waived off. So it is better to talk less. Just tell relatives that I have declared dead and he was dead before admission. Now body will be handed over to the police. Now it is the role of the police to decide further what to do. We are not duty bound to do anything further. Okay. So far, I think so far you have understand. You can just mention in chat whether you have cleared so far or no. So this procedure I already told you. Examine the pulse, absent, not felt, blood pressure, recordable, not recordable, heart sound, feeble, not feeble, absent, respiratory sound, audible, not audible, absent, then absence of reflexes. Mention the pupils position, whether pupils are dilated, contracted, or dilated and fixed. No response to the resuscitation. ECG, EEG, preferably we don't have that much time where the casualty is overloaded for these things. And coming to the today's class lecture, early signs of death. So what are the early signs of death? We have changes in the eyes, changes in the skin, then cooling of the dead body, which is also called as algor mortis, then post-mortem lividity, which is also called as livor mortis. Then we have changes in the muscles, which are called as rigor mortis. So what are changes in the eyes? Usually the reflexes after death, this pupillary and corneal reflexes are lost and person is not responding to pupillary and corneal reflexes. The normal luster of the cornea is lost and cornea become dry, hard and hazy and opaque. So these are temporary changes for 15 to 30 minutes. If you wash the eyes, then it will again regain the normal changes. But after 10 to 12 hours, these changes become permanent in the eyes. Then the cornea become dry, hard, hazy and opaque. These changes may be seen in rare cases before death. In cases of uremia, narcotic poisoning, and in cases of cholera. These changes are sometimes absent even if the person are dead in cases due to death in cyanide poisoning or death due to carbon monoxide poisoning. So what are the changes in the pupils? So after death, the pupils become dilated. So the normal size of pupil during lifetime is 5 mm. The pupil respond to miotic and mydriatic drugs for initial 1 to 2 hours. So what is the reason? The reason is that the death has occurred, but molecular death has not occurred yet. The tissues present over there, they are still alive. That is the reason they respond to miotic and mydriatic drugs for 1 to 2 hours. But after 1 to 2 hours, the individual molecular death of the cells will occur, and then the pupils will not respond to these miotic and mydriatic drugs. But after 2 to 3 hours, if any pressure is applied, it may change the shape of the pupil depending upon the case. Then coming to the sclera, there is one term called as Tachys-Noyer. So this in this eye, you are seeing this brownish color spot in outer, and see this brownish color spot, this and this. Basically, this Tachys-Noyer is a triangular in shape. This occurs only when after the death of the person, his eyes remain open. If his eyes remain open for 3 to 3 hours, then cellular debris will settle down, and these give a triangular color shape. And after few times, it appears like this brownish color shape. This is called as Tachys-Noyer. Again, it is surest sign of death, but it only tells that after death, the eyes of the deceased was open. Then coming to the intraocular tension. Normally during lifetime, the intraocular pressure is 14 to 25 mm of Hg. Immediately after death, this pressure reduced to the 12 mm of Hg. After half an hour after death, this pressure comes down to 3 mm of Hg. And remember this, 2 hours after death, this intraocular pressure becomes 0. This will be quite often asked as a MCQ in your NEET and all India exams. How many hours after death the intraocular pressure becomes 0? The answer is 2 hours after death. So this you simply remember. This will be also quite often asked as a Viva questions during your grand Viva. What is normal intraocular pressure when it becomes 0? What is immediately after death into your intraocular pressure will be. So coming to next. Then we will go for retinal blood vessel signs, Kevorkian sign. So the mostly important sign to calculate times in death. In living, even after 2 to 2 hours of death, these blood vessels, this is optic disc, and these retinal vessels look like this. In living, up to even after 1 to 2 hours after death. But after 1 to 2 hours after death, these lines will be disintegrated and dotted lines will appear. This is due to decreasing blood pressure and fragmentation of blood column. So 2 to 2 hours after death, the segmented line which gives red roll appearance seen in these retinal blood vessels. After 3 hours of death, this optic disc become pale and hazy. And after 7 to 10 hours after death, the blood optic disc is seen. So this is one of the signs of retinal blood vessels from which we can approximately calculate time since death. Then there are certain changes in the vitreous humor. So there are various components: potassium, sodium, chloride, calcium, magnesium, urea, creatinine. All these are biochemical fluids available in our body. Particularly coming to the potassium, and that is in your vitreous humor. So there are various studies done in the on this part. So it was found that after death, so in spite of declaring the potassium level, after death, the potassium level increases in vitreous humor of the eyes. So this you also remember. This will be quite often asked as a MCQ in your NEET exams. See, after death, The potassium level in vitreous humor increases, decreases, remain as the same, or none of the above. So like these MCQs will be asked. So what are the changes in the skin? So the changes in the skin are the immediately after death, the color changes, the skin become grayish or ashy white and pallor. The pallor is mainly as the blood drains from subcutaneous blood vessels. So you simply put your hand in the sunlight, you see a redishness. These things we will not appreciate if you keep the dead body's hand in the sunlight. That in that time you see only a paleness. So this is the simple test. Then loss of transparency of the skin. It is tested by examining waves under light. Same things what I told you. Expose the either sunlight or torch light to the waves. If the person is alive, it is a reddish, otherwise it will looks like a yellowish or pale things. Then loss of elasticity. The postmortem wound does not give and area that is pressed get flattened. See the usually the elasticity is lost. So in a dead person, if this your age crages what are seeing on temporal areas, so this elasticity is lost and the person usually looks young what he has to be because these wrinkles what are the late signs of ages present on the face that are decreased due to loss of elasticity. So that is the reason the person looks more young after death. Then lips are become dry, hard and brown. Sometimes also you confuse these changes with these changes will create artifact in your mind. These changes, dry desiccation, this usually normal changes after death if the body is exposed to the atmospheric temperature. So in such cases, the lips become dry, hard, brown, or sometimes you confuse it with cyanosed lip. So please remember, it is a changes after death. These all things you can appreciate better during your practical when we take your practicals on postmortem examination. Then coming to the next part, cooling of the dead body. This cooling of the dead body is also called as algar mortis. See the normally as far as the person is alive, the metabolic system is alive, his BMR is there, so the body produces the heat and body maintains normal temperature of the person. But once your respiratory system, cardiovascular system, and central nervous system stop functioning, this BMR and inner energy metabolism of the body stop. So the body will start loses its heat to the surrounding environment by conduction, convection, radiation and evaporation. So these are the modes by which body loses its heat from to external environment. See again this cooling of dead body again it is affected by various factors. It is very well appreciated in cold weather because when the temperature of the body is more than the temperature of the weather. So the heat lost will be occurs until unless the body reaches the temperature as of that normal surroundings. After that time, when the surrounding temperature and the temperature of the body become the same, then no heat will be lost. So simply the dead body losses by heat conduction, convection, radiation and evaporation. So this is called as also called as cooling of the dead body, algar mortis or chill of death. The fall of temperature fall of more than 10 degree is again surest sign of death. So how will you measure the temperature of the dead body? So for recording temperature of the dead body, a chemical thermometer is needed, and this chemical thermometer is inserted 10 centimeter deep, preferably in a rectum. Then it is kept over there, and the temperature of the body is recorded. Then another sites of from where we can keep this thermometer is we have to make a slit in right hypochondriac region and put this thermometer in underneath the liver area. Then apart from this area, we can use vagina, ear and nose for recording the temperature by this chemical thermometer. We have to keep the thermometer in position for 2 to 3 minutes. Then this temperature is recorded at frequent time interval. So this is the graph. This is the temperature of the body after death, and this is the time in hours. So this is the shape of the death curve. So this is called as sigmoid shape of cooling of the dead body. So this shape is called as sigmoid shape. So what is the normal rule? So initial first 2 to 6 hours, the body loses 2 to 2.5 Fahrenheit temperature. Body loss will be 2 to 2.5 Fahrenheit per hour. In next 6 hours, it loses 1.5 to 2 Fahrenheit degree per hour. Later on, 1 Fahrenheit per hour. So the average rate of cooling is 1 to 1.5 hour, 1 to 1.5 Fahrenheit per hour. External surface of body usually cools in 12 to 15 hours, and internal surface of body cools in 18 to 24 hours. Again, this cooling of dead body is of no use if you examine the dead body in the mortuary, and if the dead body is kept for 5-6 hours, or if the dead body is kept in a cold room, then this cooling of dead body is not appreciable. It is better appreciated at the scene of the crime. If you has been called for scene of the crime along with investigating officer, at that time this cooling of dead body is better appreciated. Even you can better appreciate formation of postmortem lividity, appearance of rigor mortis, then primary relaxation. All these things are better appreciated at the scene of crime. Once the body is kept in cold store, then all these changes after death are get arrested. So this is the formula to calculate time to death in hours. So the formula is normal rectal temperature minus observed rectal temperature divided by rate of fall of temperature per hour, which is 1.5 Fahrenheit. Suppose example, normal body temperature is 98 Fahrenheit and observed rectal temperature is 92, and rate of fall of temperature per hour is 1.5 Fahrenheit. So this will be the formula: 98 minus by 92 divided by 1.5. So this will be 6 divided by 1.5. So it comes approximately around 4 hours. And always remember, this time since death, or whatever we call, this we always give in a range. We cannot tell exactly 1 hour, 2 hour, 1 hour 10 minutes, 1 hour 14 minutes. So we have to give preferably a range of this time since death. Again, it is a corroborative evidence. So there are various factors affecting the rigor mortis, or cooling of the dead body. Age of the person. See, in children and in old age person, the dead body cools usually fast, because in old age person, there is very less fat. If the person is cachectic, then very less fat present in the body. So this fat, usually fat is a bad conductor of the electricity. If the fatty body is there, then it loses heat very slowly as compared to the thin body loss into the environment. Then general condition of the body. Then sex. Usually the female has more fat, so they usually resist cooling of the dead body as compared to the male body. Again, clothes. If the deceased is wearing tight clothes, then tight or some the clothes which we usually wear in winter areas, if such clothes are there, then that clothes will retain the body heat. They will retain the body heat, and heat will not be lost to the surrounding temperature. This I already told you, atmospheric temperature. If the temperature of the body, outside temperature of the body is already higher than the temperature of the body, then the body will lose heat to the environment. Then type of death. If the death occurs in certain conditions where there is a heat production has occurred in the body, then the heat will be returned in the body. Then again surroundings environmental factor are important. So coming to the medical legal importance of cooling of the dead body. First, it is sure sign of death. So it gives indication that the person is dead. Second, it gives approximate idea about time since death. So this is the medical legal importance of cooling of the dead body or algar mortis. Then coming to the next part, in certain situation, so far I have told you loss of heat from body to the external environment. But there are certain conditions in which the body temperature increases after death. Increasing body temperature after death. So such cases are called as post-mortem caloricity. So post-mortem caloricity is increased heat inside the body. So such cases seen in cases of heat stroke, if the person has died due to heat stroke, then in case of lightning, if the person died due to electrocution, if the disease was died due to burn, then death associated with extreme muscular activity like tetanus, and in certain poisoning cases like strychnine poisoning. In such cases, a post-mortem caloricity is seen. So what is post-mortem caloricity? Instead of decreasing temperature of the body, the temperature of the body is increases during his lifetime, and this is called as your post-mortem caloricity, and it is most commonly seen in case of poisoning due to strychnine. The next is your livor mortis. Just a minute, I will take a half-minute break. Shall we start again? So the next changes after death is livor mortis, which is also called as post-mortem lividity, cadaveric lividity, suggulations, darkening of death, post-mortem hypostasis, devices, and post-mortem staining. So immediately after death, the circulatory function has stopped. So the blood, heart pumping blood to all body part is stopped. So there is stagnation of blood in toneless and dilated capillaries of dependent parts of the body. This results due to gravity resulting into the formation of this post-mortem lividity. So in short, after death, circulatory function has stopped. So the all blood which is present in the toneless capillaries will settle down depending upon the position of the body, and this blood gets accumulated on according to the gravity acting on the body. Suppose after death the person's body is in a supine position, so the whole blood will be accumulated on the back of the body. So this is the photograph showing this, what you are seeing, this reddish color things, this again this reddish color things. See this whole things is called as post-mortem lividity. You are seeing that this is absent in these areas. This again it is absent in this area. So this area is in contact with the body surface, and in this area The blood vessels present in this area, shoulder blade and buttocks. The blood vessels, capillaries present in these area are get compressed. So the blood gravitating to the body will not be accumulated. So that is the reason we get this post-mortem lividity free area, which is called as contact area of flattening. So this post-mortem lividity, again it is surest sign of death. Usually it starts appearing after death immediately, but it is appreciated in dead bodies after 1 to 2 hours. Initial, it appears in small patches over the back of the dead body, provided that the body is in a supine position. So the sites where it is appearing in suicide position, dead body position, it's appear on posterior aspect. In case of hanging, it appears on the distal half of the body of upper and lower limbs, and it also appear on the part of ligature present above, because ligature mark of hanging is compressing the neck. So the blood what is draining from head will not go down. So it gets stagnated over the ligature mark and above, provided that the body is suspended for sufficient period of time, preferably more than 6 to 8 hours. If the body is taken down immediately and if it is kept in supine position, then even in hanging cases also, we see post-mortem lividity on the back of the body. In drowning cases, if the water is running water, in running water, the position of the dead body is frequently changing from one position to another. So the post-mortem lividity will not be appreciated. But if it is a stagnant water or in stagnant water, head being the heaviest part of the body, it will goes down. So the preferably in drowning cases, the post-mortem lividity appear on the head and upper part of the chest, because this is the heaviest part of the body. So in the drowning position, it will goes down. So the naturally the post-mortem lividity will develop on this area. But if it is running water, then the frequent position of changing of the body occur and the lividity will not be appreciated. So this is the case done by me when I was in a during my PG at Topiwala National Medical College, Mumbai. So this is the position of the deceased. It was a case of hanging. This is the position of the ligature mark. See this reddish thing. This is the lividity of the face. Again, see this. This is the postmortem lividity. In fact, this is also the postmortem lividity. Again, all this part is of postmortem lividity. This is the photograph of the deceased at the scene of crime. Then see the photograph of the same deceased on autopsy table. The same disease. See this signs of marbling has appeared. This face part shows lividity. Again, all this reddishness thing is a lividity. See, this is also the lividity. See, this is the closer view of the this hand. And if you see carefully, the nails of the deceased were also cyanosed. Again, this is the lividity. So don't confuse this lividity with a contusion. This is most commonest error occur. Sometimes the person sustains blunt trauma and sustains contusion injury over the back, and after death, if the body is kept in a supine position, the contusion injury is already there, and this postmortem lividity will settle over there. So for how to differentiate that, I will tell you further. So what is this? See, this is the contact area of the pallor. See, after death, the blood circulation stopped, so the capillaries become toneless, and this pressure here, body part, which is direct in contact with the body surface, here the capillaries are get pressed. So after death, they will not distended by this post-mortem blood. So that's why we get this area. This is called as contact area of the flattening. See this normal color. This is like pale things. What I already told you, changes in the skin and things. So this is the normal post-mortem look of the skin. You observe your hand and see this hand paleness. So this is the contact area of the flattening. Contact pallor, no lividity seen in pressure points of body since underlying vessels are prevented from being filled. Contact flattening seen in supine body, buttocks and occipital area. Devices. Devices are seen in area where tight tie areas of tight band, belt, vest. See, suppose a person is wearing a tight underwear. So after that, that tight underwear band is underwear band skin is pressed, and you will not appreciate the postmortem lividity in that area. So such part is called as vibices. Same thing in case of female. If the female is wearing a tight bras, so I have not presently photographs is not with me. I have some photographs also there. So that part of bra is pressing the skin on shoulder areas, and in that area the postmortem lividity is not fixed or not developed at all. So such band areas, either by belt, any tie, any ligature, such areas where postmortem lividity is absent are called as previces. See, this postmortem staining is also seen on internal organs. See, I already told you, see this, what you are appreciating, this is tight underwear band. Due to that, the postmortem lividity is not developed in that part. That is the reason. Similarly, some particular things is not visible there, but this definitely devices due to that tight underwear band. See this shape of the hand. So in this case, most probably the disease hand baby must on the back at that position. So that is the reason the postmortem lividity not developed over that part. Again, see this photograph. Lividity is present below this part and absent above this part. This is due to gravitation. The hand must be like that. Due to that, the lividity developed over this part. So these are some photographs showing postmortem lividity. So this is the graph of the postmortem lividity. This is time. This is the postmortem lividity appearance, and this is time graph. So this graph start postmortem lividity starts appearing, and then after 6 to 8 hours, this postmortem lividity get fixed. So what is fixing of the postmortem lividity? Onset, fixation, and factors affecting the postmortem lividity. The time. This postmortem lividity immediately starts appearing in the body, but it is appreciated after 1 hour after death. So initial 1 to 2 hours, it appears in small patches, but developed in 3 to 4 hours. But if the body is remaining in same position for at least 6 to 8 hours, then postmortem lividity will fix on that part of the body. So this is called as fixation of the postmortem lividity. And no blanching is seen on the if the postmortem lividity is fixed. What is blanching? You just press your fingernail. It is red initially. It become pale now. Leave it. It again appear. So it is blanching. This is called as blanching. So it indicates that the postmortem lividity is not fixed. But you press, it appears white. After relieving pressure also it appears white. So it called as not blanching. So it indicates that the postmortem lividity is fixed. This practically we show during your postmortem examination. The postmortem lividity part we have to press by thumb, wait for 1 to 2 minutes, then relieve the pressure. If blanching is there, then lividity is not fixed. If not blanching, then lividity is fixed. Again, this appearance of postmortem lividity depend on many factors. First is your amount of blood. If the person has sustained injury and he has a external loss of the blood to the outside the dead body. Suppose person has sustained amputation of left lower limb in railway accident, and whole blood of his body was washed out from body to the external. Then in such cases, we rarely see a postmortem lividity because the blood which is present coagulators of blood present in the body was already went outside. So there is no blood to settle in the toneless capillaries of the blood. Then length of the time blood remain in the fluid. Then also this postmortem lividity is not appreciable in dark skinned person. It is very well appreciated in a white and fair skinned persons, but it is very lessly appreciated in a dark skinned persons. Then this is the conditions and postmortem lividity color. So what is the normal color of postmortem lividity? The normal color is bluish purple or bluish pink. What are conditions? In carbon monoxide poisoning, we get a bright red cherry color postmortem lividity. Cyanide poisoning, bright red. Bright red is usually cyanide, and carbon monoxide poisoning, we label it as a cherry red. In opium poisoning, we get a black colored postmortem lividity. Phosphorus poisoning, dark brown colored. Potassium chloride poisoning, chocolate brown color. Asphyxial death, we get dark purple lividity. Hypothermia cases, we get a pink lividity. Nitrite, aniline, or methylene blue cases, poisoning, we get a blue lividity. So, in short, by just seeing the color of postmortem lividity, we can comment on, or we can have a rough idea about cause of poisoning the person which has sustained. So you must know the normal color of postmortem lividity, bluish purple. See, this is the photograph showing postmortem lividity. See this. This part is a postmortem lividity appearing in the body after hanging. See, this is the again photograph showing postmortem lividity. These are the parts of the postmortem lividity, and these are the contact area of the flat wing. So what is this? This is your postmortem lividity. And what is this bluish thing? This is your bruises or contusion. So this we have to differentiate during postmortem examination. So how will you differentiate? We simply take a cut on this part. If it is a postmortem lividity, it will be present in only things in the skin, subcutaneous skins. By pouring water, the postmortem lividity will be washed out. But if it is contusion, so when we see the definition of contusion, it is extravasation of blood in the surrounding areas of the skin. So this extravasation occurs during lifetime. So it is antemortem phenomenon. So this blood is adherent to the surrounding skin very firmly. Even if we pour water on it, it will not wash out. So this is the way how we differentiate postmortem lividity from contusion or bruises. This we also show you on postmortem examination practicals. Same things, postmortem lividity, cherry red color in case of carbon monoxide poisoning. Again, carbon monoxide poisoning, the cherry red color postmortem lividity. See, this bright red color, in my experience, the bright red color of postmortem lividity sometimes occur as an artifact. If the person is dead and his dead body is immediately kept in a cold room or in a storage, in that case we also get a bright red colored postmortem lividity because the blood has not settled yet. So it also gives a bright red color. So how to differentiate? We have to differentiate this postmortem lividity from bruises or contusion. So we have to simply take a cut on this and examine further. Again, this postmortem lividity surrounding by abrasion. This area also looks like contused area. How to confirm it? Make a incision on the suspected part and then see for internal changes. So how will you differentiate postmortem lividity from contusion? Postmortem lividity is a postmortem phenomenon. Contusion is seen in both antemortem and postmortem cases. Postmortem lividity usually on the dependent parts of the body. Contusion will be present anywhere on the body. Postmortem lividity is epidermal phenomenon. Contusion is a subepidermal phenomenon. Postmortem lividity is due to stagnation of blood in toneless and dilated capillaries. Contusion is due to rupture of capillaries. Postmortem lividity usually no swelling. Contusion usually swelling present. Postmortem lividity on incision, few oozing points seen. While in contusion, whole area is bloody and the blood clots are adherent to the nearby areas in case of contusion. Postmortem lividity margins are clear cut. Contusions margins are diffuse. Again, postmortem lividity bluish purple in color. If it contusion is there and if the person has survived, then the contusion won't show color changes. Initially it is red, then brown, then bluish black, then green, finally yellow and normal color. So this is the usually the color changes of contusion, and from that color changes of contusion we can estimate the times, we can estimate the age of the injury. Medical legal importance, postmortem lividity, important signs of time since death. It also tell us the position of the body after death. Contusion, it is type of injury. Medical legal importance, contusion, we get a rough idea about type of appended weapon used. Shifting of dead body. See the postmortem lividity after death, the body is in supine position. It takes 6 to 8 hours fixing of lividity. But before these 6 hours, if we turn down the position of the body from supine to prone, then the lividity will shift from back to front areas of the body. And if the body is in a prone position for 6 to 8 hours, then we get a lividity on the front parts of the chest. But the lividity which found on first position, that is on the back of the body, is still faintly appreciated. So this gives a rough idea that presently the body is in a supine position, and before fixing of lividity, it was turned to prone position. So this we can comment from postmortem lividity. Differential diagnosis of postmortem lividity is congestion of the viscera. So this is the last slide. What is the medical legal importance of postmortem lividity? It is sign of death. It gives a rough idea about time since death. It tells the position of body after death. It also tells whether the body is shifted before 6 hours, that is before the fixation of the postmortem lividity. Sometime by seeing the color of postmortem lividity, we can also comment upon cause of death. Color like in cases of cherry red color in carbon monoxide poisoning, bright red in cyanide poisoning. So like that, from color we can comment upon cause of death. Also from position of the postmortem lividity, also comment upon cause of death. Like in case of hanging, we also see. And devices tell the particular ligature or band present on the body at the time of the death. So what is the take-home message for today's lecture? You must know the definition of death. What is suspended animation? What is involuntary and voluntary suspended animation? You must be able to enumerate changes after death, immediate changes, early changes, and late changes. You must know what are the changes in the eyes, what is cooling of the dead body, mechanism, how the heat is lost, and its medical legal importance. What is postmortem lividity, mechanism of formation of postmortem lividity, and its medical legal importance. So the rigor mortis and next part we will see in our next two lectures, which will be scheduled on 18th May and 25th May. If you have any query regarding today's lecture, you can either personally put in the chat box, or you can personally WhatsApp me, no problem. But thoroughly you can read the today's topic, then only you will be able to understand these concepts. Okay, so far it is the today's lecture is complete from my side. If you have any difficulty, put in chat box. In next lecture, I will cover that. But in next lecture, I am teaching you rigor mortis and delayed changes. So please go through that briefly, and you must have a rough idea what I am teaching before that. So anyway, thank you very much. Bye.